Okay, almost the third month of 2023. You want this year to be epic, as always. Here are 5 habits to implement that will help you make it so. Hello! So excited you are back here. It's Align Your Day. It's your girl, Jenna. I'm your certified life coach and excited to bring you today's message. So today we're going to talk about 5 key habits to implement for your epic 2023. I kind of made this quote for you that I wanted to embody, right? That I wanted to invite you into for all you who listen and all you who are part of my community. I wanted to share just like a vision for us to have as we're moving through 2023. And the simple phrase I got was, your dream woman. Be your own dream woman. And that's like kind of my, I don't know, I guess message and an overarching insight I want to give to you and I want to invite you into as we step into 2023. So being your dream woman, being that love of your life, being that light of your life, realizing your worth, having deeper confidence, knowing your value and what you bring to the table in your career, in your relationships, in your day-to-day, communications. I just wanted that to be like the overarching anchor for our year and for my message to you throughout the podcast, throughout the social media, throughout my coaching to you for this year. And so, yeah, I just wanted to relay that. So here are like just some easy habits you can start to implement that will help you make it, your 2023, your dream woman this year. So the first one that I think is really, really key that has helped me a lot too is decompressing and tuning out the noise. Basically what this is a reminder of is, it's so easy nowadays to have information fatigue, to have information overwhelm. Our nervous systems are so stimulated by information nowadays from social media, from our day-to-day pings at our workday, from what's going on in our relationships. I mean, there's just so many aspects of life now because of how much information we have access to, the resources we have access to. So while there's so many pros to that, there are also some cons, right? And a huge con is that overwhelm. It's that overwhelm, it's that information fatigue, it's that, oh my goodness, I don't even know what the next step is, like analysis paralysis, because you're overthinking each next move because it seems like everybody on social media has things figured out and you're like, holy shit, am I like behind, right? Like it's so easy to get in that overwhelmed state. And that really, decreases your ability to trust yourself, which decreases your ability to trust your intuition, to really enhance your feminine energy. So that's like, that's really, really key. It decreases your ability to feel more calm and more stable and more present throughout your day. And I mean, that's like, we always hear, the blessings are in the journey. Be present, enjoy those moments. And it's hard to do so when, you're in your head, you're thinking, maybe you read 3 different posts today and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like they say 3 different things, so I don't even know what to do next, right? It's like, it's so common nowadays. I know, like, especially just talking to some of my girlfriends who maybe have gone through breakups, they were like, oh my gosh, there's like so much information when it comes to relationships and breaking up. It's like, it's so overwhelming. Like one post says one thing, another post says almost like the complete opposite, like what the hell? And it kind of like, sometimes too much information is like, it's better to have like almost none, right? And you're like, oh, ignorance is bliss, right? So just like that reminder for you as like a habit of like, okay, is there a system you can implement to really start to tune out the noise and come back to yourself? And how can you start to make this like a daily practice, right? So whether that be like a 5-minute journaling session you have for yourself of like, okay, this is what I'm thinking based on what's going on in my life right now. And these are the next 2 steps I want to take. I'm going to take them. Right? So I think it can start off so simple at first and then build up from there. But you want to do something that allows you to just have a few minutes to tune out the noise and to build that muscle of trusting yourself. So key, right? So start off in little ways. Maybe it's as simple as, okay, I'm going to take these 2 steps when it comes to what I'm going to eat this week. And I'm going to trust myself that it's going to go well. Or I'm going to take these 2 steps in terms of who I'm going to reach out to next in my corporate job. And I'm just going to do it. Right? So what is like a little system you can do that builds that muscle of self-trust? So key. And that allows you to just tune out the noise and just follow your own flow. I have this like little quote that I printed out for my vision board for this year. And it says, do what's best for your soul. The rest is just noise. And I love that. I love that so much. But it's hard to know what is best for you, what is best for your soul, because we're so detached from that inner knowing, from that intuition, because of all that information we have available nowadays, right? So just what is a little practice you can start to do to tune this shit out, right? Maybe you make it like a 10-minute thing on Fridays where, on Fridays you just say, okay, BS to whatever I heard, even if it's like completely against a post I saw on social media or whatever. What are 2 steps I want to take that feel good to me, and then I'm just going to do because it feels, like the next step to take. And start small, and you can build from there, right? Or maybe even having intentional breaks where you're not listening to podcasts about personal growth. And don't worry, I won't be offended if you need to take a couple breaks, right, from this. I mean, I know I'm epic, but no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like take some breaks from here if you want, or take some breaks from maybe just constantly learning and improving and self-growth. We have so many self-growth resources nowadays, which are incredible. But it's also like, all right, let's live a little bit before we learn about how to live better, right? So it's like, you maybe need to give yourself a week where you're like, forget this. I'm not gonna listen to podcasts. I'm not gonna listen to any self-growth tips. Bye, Jenna. Don't worry, I won't take it the hard way. But bye, Jenna. I'm just gonna kind of live and go from there, right? So it's just something to think about. It's like, how can you have intentional breaks to tune out, to come back to yourself and really trust yourself? And that's going to build that foundation of being your dream woman, because I'm sure you visualize, your dream self would trust herself, would make decisions because it feels good to her, would not allow others' opinions to influence her, to be so fatigued by information, by overwhelm, that she's not able to take the steps that feel good to her, right? So that's really, really key. It's like building that muscle of self-trust. And there are a lot of things that can be blocking that muscle, that can be blocking your ability to say yes to yourself. I mean, they can come from childhood. Most likely or not, they come from childhood. They come from societal conditioning. They can come from maybe if you grew up in a more what's it called? In more super, super traditional or strict religions, like it's easy to maybe not trust what you feel is good and maybe just do what's expected from society or from your cultural group. And so it's like, how can you find that line of really still being true to yourself, amongst this? And so that's why it's also really important to, if you want to consider, to having that coach, to having a support system, to having, if you want, me to be your coach or someone else to be your support system, when it comes to really questioning what beliefs are working for you and what beliefs aren't, and how can you start to take those new steps towards beliefs that are really supporting you, because you're always taking action based on beliefs, and whether it's beliefs that are supportive to you or whether it's beliefs that you have just because they've been passed down, you're taking action from those. So it's really important to have someone to question where your inner story, aka your inner paradigm, is limiting you. So that's what I'm trained in. I'm trained to understand, what story are you living through, and is it supportive to your growth? And so I'll be able to kind of peck and poke and ask you questions to kind of see, is this belief supporting you? Should we welcome in a new belief? And how are you taking actions based on a limiting belief instead of taking actions based on what's actually supportive to you and your growth? And just to clarify, no, you do not need a specific religious or spiritual belief system in order to have coaching with me. I tailor my coaching based on what your spiritual beliefs are. And I've also worked with women who want to kind of step away from super traditional, maybe they grew up in a very traditional religion. They kind of want to take steps towards something that feels more nourishing to them. I kind of help you in that process of really starting to work through those beliefs, really starting to work through maybe some trauma that was, that had happened because of those, and then starting to take new actions that feel safe. So I kind of know how to take you through that process if you need support in that, and if you know that that's really crucial for you. So just something I wanted to know. And if you want to book a free discovery call, like a 30-minute chat to kind of say, hey, Jenna, I'm working through this. I know that these beliefs are super limiting to me, and I know that they're running my show right now, but I need help and support in taking new actions and believing something new for my life and for what's possible. I'm so happy to support you, and you could just, sign up for that 30-minute free call. But yeah, so that's the first part, is tuning out the noise and really building that muscle of self-trust. And why this is so important to me too, that I wanted to relay to you. I ended up going on a retreat with a bunch of fellow coaches that were in my coaching institute that I studied with for my certification, for my life coaching certification. And this one amazing woman who is now a forever mentor to me, she I think she was about 50. And she was just saying, if I could tell you anything, I would say to trust yourself and to take actions based on what you know is right for you. She's like, if I could tell you anything based on everything that I've been through, and she had like an amazing story of just crazy things that she had gone through and had to traverse in her life. And she was like, if I could just tell you something, it would be to listen to those nudges and to trust yourself. And so that's why I'm relating this on to you too, is like, now's the best time to start, right? Build that muscle of trusting yourself so you can know when you have those gut feelings of, this is not right for me, I should not be doing this. And you can actually trust them, because it's going to be harder and harder nowadays to trust our gut feelings because of all the information that's being spewed upon us. So, intentionally carve out that time to say yes to what your nudges are currently and build that muscle. So that's like a really key habit for this year. And my second thing, okay, funny story. I don't have my glasses on, so 1 second. Oh yeah, okay. So my second thing is to create a little anchor that represents your dream woman self for 2023. And what I mean by this is, an anchor can be anything. It could be a cup that really sparks your, sparks your inspiration, or it reminds you of like where you want to be in a couple months. Or maybe it's like a dress that feels really beautiful to you, and so you want to hang it up so you can look at it each day, right? Or maybe it's just a quote that feels really supportive to you and that you want to look at as like an anchor each day that you're like working towards. It can be a bunch of different things, but you want to kind of have something that's like your anchor in the ground, your flag in the ground, to say, this is what I'm standing for this year. This is what's important to me. And this is like a reminder of where I'm headed and who I want to become this year. So, something that I have that I could actually just show you, if you're watching the YouTube, I'll put it right here. If you're in the podcast, I'll put it as like a little additional show note. But this is like one of my anchors for this year. It's just, I love how she looks. Basically, if you're listening to the podcast, it's just like a woman, just like being held by her like boyfriend or a man, and she's just like so happy and free and like smiling, and it just reminded me of like of what I want to represent for my year. I want to be free. I want to feel more radiant. I want to feel more empowered in myself, and just like, less of a burden, because I tend to place so much burden and pressure on myself, right? So it's like, I want to feel more like just alive and just, present and feeling fun and feeling flirty. And so that's what I have as like my anchor for the year. So I basically I look at that, and I even like allow my body to like mirror what she's doing. So I don't know if it'll make sense if you're listening to the podcast, so you download the supplementary image, but she's just like smiling and kind of leaning. And so throughout my workday, I'll have little pauses where I'll just like smile and I'll lean. And it's just like a physical anchor that reminds you of like what you want to represent this year. And so for me, it's like feeling more empowered in myself, feeling more free, feeling more like just in line with what lights up my soul, and just like feeling fun. So that's just something else you can do, is like create an anchor for yourself, and actually have like a free guide that walks you through how to create an anchor, take next steps that really align with your best self. It's just called Activate Your Best Self Guide. It's a free e-guide. So if you want like next steps on how to create that anchor for yourself and really, take those next steps to becoming your dream woman this year, you can go ahead and download it. But I wanted to let you know of that. So creating like a little anchor for yourself. And this is something that's so small, but that could be so monumental, because you could look back in a year at that item, at that quote, at that picture, and be like, wow, I'm so happy I committed to this year. And look at all the actions it's brought me because I used it as an anchor. So there's really something to think about, something easy to implement, and that could really be like important to you and help you transform this year. So that is that. And then, okay, something else that's really fun. This is your third one. So the third habit, it's super simple, but it's going to be so epic to look back on. I've done this so far this year. I call it 3 magic moments. So basically what you can do is, at the end of your day, you write out 3 moments that felt really magical to you, that felt really just beautiful and fun. Maybe it's like those days where you're like, holy shit, when you have something that happens to you, you're like, you cannot make this shit up. Like, this is not a coincidence, like, oh my gosh, right? Just little things like that. Something that happened to me this year recently, where I was like, I had this epiphany that basically based on I think it's like it's like my third year out of college. So I was like, this is my junior year of womanhood. Like, it's gonna be epic, it's gonna be fun. And I had shared that insight with one of my best girlfriends, and she was like, Jenna, shut up. I literally had the same thought like this morning, like, stop it. And it was one of those like goosebumps moments where you're like, holy shit, like, this is crazy. So I put that in there, but it could be something as simple as, I don't know, just like, I wrote like a bunch of different things. Like, one of them was like this cashier who was really nice to me at like the Jewel. It could be just like anything that sparked your joy throughout the day. And this allows your mind to really focus on the good, focus on how much magic is in your day, and also focus on the beauty in the simple things, right? Like, it could be such a simple thing as like, I don't know, having like, I've had a couple times when I've gone to Starbucks and the barista has written thank you on the cup. Like, something so small like that where you're like, yes, it's simple, but there's so much power, there's so much beauty in that. And so that will allow your appreciation for the bigger things to feel even more magical because you're appreciating the small things, right? So that's something else too, is just like, at the end of the day, you could just write out 3 magic moments and then just write out some moments that felt really magical to you throughout the day. Easy habit, and allows you to look back on all the moments in the year and like what felt good to you. So figured I would relay that because it's really fun. And so going to the fourth one. First of all, I'm gonna have a little sip of this cold brew. You know, I cannot do an episode without a good cold brew, okay? Anyways, so the fourth one is, and this has been such a game changer to me, but is being intentional about the questions you're asking in your relationships and in your conversations. Even with people you've known all your life, even with the same family members you talk to. You know, it's so easy to have the same conversations. Yeah, I did this. What are you doing tomorrow? Oh, I'm doing this. How was work this week? It was fine. Like, it's so easy, especially with people you know, maybe your parents, your sisters, your brothers, I don't know, anyone, people you speak to on a daily basis, right? It's easy to kind of feel like, oh, okay, this is what our relationship's like whatever, we just talk about the same things, go through the motions. It's easy to think that when you're just asking them the same stuff and you're having the same conversations. But something that can allow your relationship to deepen even more is to be more intentional about the questions you're asking. Questions are like arrows that can point you to new depths of connection with someone, right? View it as that. So you might have the same connection with someone because you guys are talking about the same shit each day. You're asking each other the same questions. Ask something different. Ask something different, be curious, and allow that person to show you maybe a different side of them. Because it's so easy to peg someone as, oh, they're only this way, or, I can't talk about this with them, or, they'll never be as deep as I am. And maybe that's true, or maybe you're just not allowing them to share what they actually want because you're not, or to share a deeper insight because you're not asking them, right? Like, think about that box of cards from We're Not Really Strangers, right? That's all about making connection because it asks those deeper questions. So how can you do so in your daily life? Maybe, you have dinner on families with your parents or your cousins or whatnot. Ask a couple different questions. Like, ask them something that you didn't know about them, or be like, what was your favorite memory when you were in 10th grade and why? Right? Like, just like things like that where you're like, oh, I don't know this about this person. Let me ask them and see if I can get a deeper look into how their mind works, into how their heart works, into maybe a way I can find deeper connection with them, right? So, and connection in relationships is like the core of life, right? And it's a really big core, especially for women who are tapped into their feminine energy. The number one need for feminine energy and nourishment is connection and relationships, right? For masculine energy, it's passion and purpose. For the feminine energy, it is connection and relationships. And so if you are making that a priority in your life, you're going to feel nourished. You're going to feel more happy, more magnetic, more in your feminine energy, if you've been hearing about that lately, because it allows you to feel more connected. So ask those deeper questions. And this is not like a huge goal or huge monumental thing, but it could just be like a little thing you can start to implement once a week or once every other week, right? It could be something that's easy and can actually lead to newer connections with people, which is really great. So that's the fourth one. And the fifth one, if I can read, lol. Okay. The fifth one, which has actually been such a game changer to me, but it's being realistic about what goes into your goals and like actually setting up time for that. So let me give you like a couple examples. So one, I'll give you like a personal example. I know most of you are not like content creators and stuff. So then I'll do an example for like a corporate job stuff. So one of my goals this year, right, was to do YouTube, like upload a YouTube video once a week. And I'm like, all right, cool. what I would used to do in the past is say, okay, YouTube video once a week, like done. What I actually need to do is be like, okay, what are all the steps that go into creating a YouTube video once a week, and how can I properly time block for those, right? So I need to block 30 minutes for the prep. What am I gonna say in the video? I need to block 30 minutes to research other YouTube videos and kind of see what's trending. I need to block an hour to actually record the video. Then I need to block 30 minutes to edit. And then I need to block 20 minutes to create a cute little story so I can post it on my story for Instagram, right? Like, it's so important to, instead of just having these blanket goals, asking yourself, what is going to go into this goal and what systems do I need to set up in order to see it through? So I could just say I have a goal of posting a YouTube video once a week. Cool. Everybody and their mother could say that, right? It's like, what are the steps that go into that and how are you going to actually commit to it? So I needed to block a time block to prep. I need to block 30 minutes on, Sundays to do X. I need to make sure I only have plans after 2 p.m. on a couple Saturdays so I can film, right? So it's like, what are the systems you need to set up in order to see your goals through? And I can apply this to, like, for example, a corporate job. Let's say you want to increase your network in your job, right? Like, let's say you're just like, I want to increase my network in my corporate job this year. What are the steps that are going to go into that, right? Do you need to carve out 30 minutes, maybe every other Thursday, to look up people in your firm to kind of see who you want to connect with? That's a step that you need to book out. Then you actually need to book out time frames to have those coffee chats to connect. Maybe you say, okay, Wednesday and Fridays are going to be my actual coffee chat days. Then you got to maybe book out 10 minutes to send that email of like, okay, let's connect, let's do this. So just think about, I don't want this to be overwhelming, but I just want you to be realistic about what goes into the goals you're setting, and do you need to set up like time frames or time blocks for those different parts so you could see it through? And maybe this doesn't work for some people, and it's like some people just want to say this is their goal and they're just going to carve out a time frame to do everything, which maybe could work. But I feel like what's actually more nourishing is to ask yourself, what are the steps that are going to go into this goal, and how can I carve them out and set up time for them? Because then you're like, okay, I have time set up for the different parts of this goal. And then it's a matter of following through, but at least you have the structure set up, right? That's actually supportive to you. Because then it's easy to be like, I don't know, on that like Friday at like 4 at maybe 7 months into the year, and you're like, shit, I should probably schedule some coffee chats now because I need to increase my network, right? It's like, if you would have already booked out, okay, these are the little steps of what's going to go into it. I spend 10 minutes a day on each step, done. Right? So how can you break apart your goals in more realistic ways? And if you need help to do this, I love doing this, like my jam. I work on this with my clients too. So if you want help in this, we can just drop a 30-minute chat and we could see how I can help you with this, especially if you want to go into one-to-one coaching or whatnot. But yeah, it's really fun. So yeah, so those are kind of like my 5 habits to implement. I hope that made sense and that they're tangible for you. And if you need other examples, like I said, for that like time blocking one, the one I just said, or anything else, if you have any questions, just DM me on Instagram at jenna.thanopoulos, and I'm so happy to answer questions. And then we could see if you want to book a call, or if you just need like a clarifying question on something, I'm so happy to answer and just clear things up. So yeah, well, cheers to your 2023, or whenever you're watching this, even if it's 3 years down the line, whenever. I hope you're having a great year, a great day, and remember the power you hold and the power that's available to you in each moment, in each day. You can make that new commitment. You can make that new step. All it takes is just that choice of you to say yes and to do it. So I believe in you. You're doing great. You are doing great. I believe in you. And let's have a great freaking epic year. Okay? I'll talk to you soon.